right, well, we're going to go ahead and get started. Welcome everybody to this month's ARA Lunch and Learn. For those of you who don't know me, my name is Jeff Rogan. I'm the Vice President of Member Engagement here at the ARA. I'm excited to have one of our associate members who focuses primarily on digital marketing, website development, 12 Legs Marketing. Raleigh, who is their Digital Strategy Director, is going to cover just some strategies and tactics around how your rental operation can drive traffic to your store through digital marketing plans. So this Lunch and Learn will be recorded and sent out to you after the call, as well as we will have it on our ARA website as well for people to view it. So with that, I'm going to turn it over to Raleigh.
Thank you, Jeff. Thank you, everybody, for taking an hour out of your day. I'm super excited to be here. I'm going to very quickly introduce myself. My name is Ralitza Carter. I go by Raleigh. I co-own 12 Legs Marketing with my business partner Jason. And oftentimes we get asked, how did we come up with the name 12 Legs Marketing? The reality is that we have 4 founding members, 2 humans and 2 dogs. We are super passionate about what we do. Jason leads our video department. I lead our digital marketing department. And for the past 5 years, we've really started diving much deeper into the rental industry, which has been an ocean of amazing people, of great learning. So I'm super excited to be here with all of you today and just share some of the insights that we've kind of accrued over time. As I shared, we're super passionate about our work, so I cannot not mention that our video department brought an Emmy home a few months ago. And if you actually visited us at the booth at the ARA show that just passed this February, you would have been able to hold a real Emmy. So if you're coming next year to the ARA show, please stop by so you can hold one and we can take great photos together. And I really hope to meet all of you, if ever possible, in person. Let's get started. So a little bit more about myself. So I've lived on 3 continents, worked on 2. I've been in the digital space for the past 15 years. And what better way to learn about me than my most personal device, which is my cell phone. On an average day, I spend 4 hours on my cell phone, which I can't necessarily say that I'm super proud of, but that's the reality that we live in. I've been on a diet, so I do have to mention that my average time spent on my device is down by 6% last week over week. But joke aside, I really wanted to start today's discussion with really putting some perspective on what does 1 minute mean in the online space. We're all connected via our smartphones, via our computers, tablets, even our devices at home, such as our TVs. So what happens in 1 minute spent online? 1 minute equals 3.67 million YouTube videos watched. It also equals 5.9 million searches on Google. It means almost 7 million songs streamed online. You will have the slides, so you'll be able to look at all of these statistics, but basically the essence of this is the amount of engagement that happens online in 1 minute is incredible. And why is that important? That is important because our behaviors have shifted from the traditional methods of gathering information to online. 90% of our time nowadays is spent online, whether that be for work-related items, whether that be for entertainment. Sometimes we're on multiple devices at the same time. I'm notorious about watching television at night at home and still being on my cell phone, pulling out my laptop if something happens. And I presume that many of you may kind of admit that you do similar things. So it's important to understand that when it comes to marketing our businesses, we have to be online. If nothing else proved that, the pandemic really was kind of a point during which we were all closed at home, and really our only connection with the outside world was the online space. And over the last 4 years, that has only grown. So why does that matter to a rental business? Let's start by looking at what some people call a marketing funnel. I like to look at it at a pyramid. The reason I look at the marketing phases as a pyramid is because if we're a smaller operation, a small to mid-sized business, we probably need to focus first on that top of the pyramid where conversions and sales happen, so we can start driving revenue. And then as our business grows, we would have more expendable revenue money in order to start going into the wider areas of targeting. So if we're to follow this pyramid, you will see three main areas. Those, of course, can be broken down in more granular areas, but just for the sake of time today, at the very bottom, you have awareness. That's where people recognize that they have a need for something, whether that be a service or a product. One day we wake up, we start asking ourselves questions, and we realize that we need something. Once we move up the pyramid, that's where engagement happens. That's when we start looking for information. We open Google, we open Bing, we open Pinterest if we're looking for inspiration there, and we start making searches, start evaluating what options we have and what all of the alternatives are. And then at the top of the pyramid is truly where, in our scenario today, the rental decision happens. This is when me as a consumer decides that I've chosen a couple of rental businesses maybe that I want to explore doing business with. So I may ask for a bid, an estimate on the items that I need to rent. So it's important to always know and think that your website, being your business 24/7, open doors, online, sits at the very top of this pyramid, but it also has a place and a time throughout all of these different levels. Because at each stage of our marketing pyramid, we are trying to drive traffic to our website. And from there, we are trying to drive engagement and invite users to connect with us so we can do business. So if we're to look at a very simple 3-step approach to our marketing efforts online, it all starts with our website, front and central. We need to drive traffic to our website. And then as a result of people coming to our website, there's specific goals that we hope that people will reach, whether that be a phone call, a form film, a request for quote, a video watch. The list of goals goes on and on and on. But it's just important to remember that traffic is driven through all of these different phases of our marketing pyramid, remembering that the conversion phase, that top layer, is truly the closest one that gets us to that goal, called a conversion. So if we're to take this concept of 3 steps into numbers, let's say we're driving 100 website visitors to our website each month. If you're in the top 25% line of websites, you're probably working with a 5% conversion rate, which would mean that out of every 100 website visitors, you're probably getting 5 requests for an estimate or 5 phone calls, whatever that conversion may be for your specific case. So when we're kind of taking this whole very simplified approach to our marketing efforts online, it's very important to take into account, all right, out of 100, we're maybe converting 5. What will happen if we drove 1,000? That will mean 10xing our conversions. Today will really be spent mostly towards how do we drive quality traffic to our website. But each of these 3 main steps can be its own discussion and has its own intricacies that we can dive in much depth, and I'm happy to do so if anybody wants to connect after this. But when we talk about traffic, driving quality traffic to our website, it always starts with a question, well, where are we really targeting these people? Depending on what operation you're running, you may be targeting globally, you may be targeting nationally, you may be targeting a specific city or a radius around your location. Those are the 4 main location targeting approaches that we have available to us in the digital space. But one of those, which is very oftenly kind of overlooked, is called hyperlocal targeting. Hyperlocal can actually be used to target specific buildings, whether that be competitors in your market space that you want to target. And as people go in and out through their buildings, you have a chance to target them further and at least be in their preview. So if I went to one of the bigger branded companies that rents equipment, you may be able to capture my cell phone device because I walk through their building, then retarget me, and at least make yourself known for next time when I need to rent something to make me consider you as an option as well. More on the event side of things, an approach could be targeting event centers. So whether that be throughout the whole year, so if you're looking to do business with event centers on a consistent basis, or maybe it's a specific event that you're trying to target, you can determine the specific building that you want to target and people who are in that building over an extended period of time or over a short period of time. So that is our location. After that, we need to start asking ourselves, well, great. Then who are we targeting? We know our geography, whether we're a smaller operation with a 50-mile radius service area, or whether we're one of the national brands and we're targeting across the nation, but who are we going after? So what you will see on the slides is I'm going to try and keep things as clear as possible. In the top right corner, you will see the phases of the pyramid that each of these approaches is actually capturing, with the caveat that you can always expand and move up and down the pyramid as necessary. But for the most part, when we talk about the first thing that online users do when they have a question, that's usually opening your cell phone or your computer, opening Google, and searching for whatever is on your mind. So keywords are one of the main areas or basic fundamental areas that we start our marketing efforts online with, because that is the one place where people are absolutely telling you upfront what is on their mind right now in this moment. So with keywords, we can target people contextually, which means if those keywords exist in an article on a website that people are consuming information, have a chance of showing your ad there. And then as you start diving into the platforms of Google and Bing, for example, you can do search targeting. So you can display your ads as people are searching on those search engines. And then one approach, which I'll talk a little bit more in detail about today, is retargeting. Super important, once again, in many cases, but if we spend money and time driving traffic to contextual and search targeting to our website, we need to somehow be able to follow up with people. Okay, can everybody see me, hear me? I hope so. Yep. I seem to be unmuted. Awesome. So starting with the fundamental, what's on my mind, I put it in a search engine or I go and read on it. That's a low-hanging fruit for any rental store to go after. Then if we wanted to dive a little bit deeper into that wider area of our marketing pyramid, we have demographic targeting. So gender and age for the longest time have been parameters that businesses have gone after, but it's something to be mindful of with all of the privacy regulations which have been imposed on the online space. Gender and age are not as reliable anymore. And also, if we think about our rental operations, we definitely have two key types of personas we're going after. The one is the B2B. So for an equipment rental store, for example, that would be construction companies. For an events rental store, that will be event planners. And we also have the B2C, which will be more of those private parties, people who are either organizing their own party or they have a do-it-yourself type of project. Depending on where your target audience falls, if it's more on the B2B, business to business side of things, you can actually target people based on industries. So that is one of the very strong or great ways to go after a proven audience, because if somebody's working in the construction industry, they likely at some point in time will run into doing business with a rental. And same goes for event planning. If somebody's in event planning, one way or another, they would run into having to work with a rental store when they're putting together their clients' events. Behavioral targeting is based off of behaviors that online users show online. I would say that from the whole spectrum, that is one of the widest ways that you can target people. And you have to be careful with that one, because if you're just starting out and you're trying to drive that revenue, you really need to be very, very careful with how you position your dollars. If you have more expendable budgets, you may want to go after behavioral targeting, and that could be behaviors such as what are people shopping for online, what brands do they associate with online, so on and so forth. But your targeting net is going to be much wider, so you would have a lot more what we call spill, people who may not be ready to do business with you today. So your whole sales cycle, as you go down to the awareness area of the pyramid, is going to be much longer. So that's one of the main differences. I need to do sales right away. You want to focus on conversions and engagement, or I'm okay to invest in a longer sales cycle, which is where that piece of awareness comes into play. We will not have much time to talk about these next ones on my slides here, but I did wanted to mention them because it's important to know that they exist. Whether they're the right fit for you right this instant, or maybe down the road, at least knowing as marketers that these approaches exist is important. Lookalike targeting is basically taking your customers, people who come to your website and convert, and uses algorithmic technology to find similar users who are expressing similar behaviors online. So this is one of the ways to take your full pyramid, take the learnings from the top of who are the people who actually end up buying from you, and pouring it at the bottom of the pyramid so you can really tweak and make as effective as possible your whole marketing cycle. CRM or list targeting is more or less what it sounds like. You have a list of known people. You may have their email addresses and phone numbers, and based on those, you can target them in the online space. These two approaches tend to be a better fit for larger organizations, when we say larger, whether it's geography or budgets and overall, structure of the organization. But there's definitely creative ways that those can be utilized for smaller businesses as well. So make a note of them, definitely helpful to keep them in the back of your mind for whenever the right time comes around. All right, so we spoke about keywords. And again, keywords are the most direct way to get into the minds of online users. You would have a website surfer, somebody who's online, they have a need, they go to a search engine, type in whatever's on their mind, and Google, I will be using Google, and I'll explain why as my name for a search engine displays relevant information to them. So when we talk about keywords, I really want to make a point to talk about the 4 different types of keywords that people really use. Of course, each of these can be expanded into hundreds of keywords, but understanding the concept will really help you determine your strategy moving forwards. So there's 4 main types of keywords that users use: informational, navigational, commercial, and transactional. Starting from the very top, informational are usually keywords and key phrases which people use when they're just in the initial phases of their research. Maybe I have a need, but I don't know what's the difference between a forklift and a lift truck. I came to find out that they're actually not that different. Technically, everything is a lift truck. Not every piece of equipment has a fork that it's equipped with. But I'm starting to kind of understand I have a need, but what is it truly that I need out of all of the options out there? Navigational searches are going to be searches which are specifically surrounding, I am trying to get from point A to point B in the shortest amount of time, and I need directions, or I need to find a specific location on the map in my surrounding area. Commercial ones are going to be, okay, I have a need. I've read enough about, what's available out there. Now I'm going to start pinpointing some of the main benefits that I'm looking for. On the screen, you have the example of equipment rental free delivery. So I'm starting to really hone down on, I need equipment that I need to rent, but I also would like to see who out there extends free delivery to me. And then transactional, that's really the very top of your pyramid. That's when I tell you I need a wedding tent near me. I'm ready to rent it. I need it near me and I need to get moving. So when we look at those 4 different areas, you can start really reverse engineering what phase of their research online users are in. Starting from informational, which is more so, I'm not there, I need information. That is a great way to target blogs or additional content that you may have on your website. But just know that this is not the phase in which people are ready to buy or request a bid. Versus if I am ready and specifically looking for a very defined piece of equipment to rent and I need it near me, you want to be right there in front of that user at that exact moment in order to increase your chances to do business with them. So moving a little bit deeper into the whole realm of search, now that we know the 4 main keyword types that users are searching for, let's dive a little bit deeper into the 3 main areas that we can deploy those keywords in. So we have so-called search engine optimization, and we'll dive a little bit deeper here in a couple of moments, but search engine optimization is basically positioning your website to be discovered organically. There's no monetary exchange when it comes to advertising dollars, but there's definitely time associated with positioning your website. Search engine optimization is not an overnight success game. It usually takes 6 to 9 months to start seeing results. And it definitely requires consistency and patience and understanding of the technology, because search engines like Google and Bing deploy changes in their algorithms on a daily basis, sometimes multiple times a day. So you need to be able to stay on top of all of these changes in the online space in order to make smart decisions on how to position or reposition your website, its technology and its content to appease search engines for them to give you preferential treatment, basically. Now, search engine marketing is slightly different because your results are expected to happen much faster. So within the span of 3 to 4 weeks, you should be able to start seeing results, including conversions, whether those be phone calls, form fills, or whatever you deem a conversion on your website. But the trade-off there is that there's a monetary exchange of media buys. So you actually are going to pay search engines every time somebody clicks on your ad, versus when we're only focusing on search engine optimization, SEO, when people click on your result, you don't pay for that. So that's one of the main differences. So the time that it takes to get to the top of the search results, and then the monetary exchange that is associated with each. Contextual targeting, I mentioned that a couple of slides ago. That is basically associated with taking a list of keywords that you have defined are important to your business and targeting websites out there that have content on those content that's talking about those keywords, that has those keywords in the copy. So if I'm starting my rental experience, I know that I have a project, I know that I have to rent equipment, I may be reading blogs, I may be reading even news outlets to see what articles are there to help me define what exactly do I need to rent. And as I'm reading on all of these different articles, so long as there's advertising space available, you have a chance to show your ad only because I'm reading on a specific type of equipment or a specific rental or something like that. So it's a little bit of a wider net to where I'm not proactively going in a search engine to type in those words, but I'm still reading very specifically about those keywords that you want to go after. So let's talk a little bit about search engines. One of my favorite questions is, well, what do you think about DuckDuckGo? Well, it's a search engine. They've been trying to advertise very heavily and attract users to their engine. But in reality, if we look at the market share in the US amongst all of the available main search engines, what you will notice is that predominantly Google is basically holding over 90% of the search market. So in dark blue, you will see Google as a search engine. You go in and you type in your keywords. In light blue at 21% is Google Images. Us online users, we're starting more and more to search for images in order to find information. So that whole sector is going to continue growing. And then YouTube is that light green sliver of almost 3%. All of those three owned by Google, owned by Alphabet. So Google, Google Images, and YouTube more or less have the main, the same parent ownership, and they consist of 70, 90, 93, 94% of the market share. So when I get asked about other search engines, I find it very difficult to say, yeah, go and pursue those unless you have absolutely saturated the big players in the field. Yahoo and Bing, you will notice there as well, kind of as the two right after Google. And those are also search engines that make perfect sense to go after because they tend to have a slightly different type of user on them. But again, unless you are saturating the big player Google and it's the second biggest search engine, YouTube, I would be hesitant to move on to Bing ads or anything like that. So now that we've established that Google is the big player in this space, I'm going to continue using the word Google when I'm talking about search engines. So let's talk a little bit about search engine optimization. Search engine optimization basically stands for opening Google, entering your search term, search query, in this specific example, Westchester Party Rentals. And there's this piece of information that Google will always present you with. For your query, how many results did the search engine find in what amount of time? So in this specific example, there are 5.8 million results that Google was able to find in less than a third of a second. So when we're talking about search engine optimization, truly our effort here is to position our website in a way that proves to Google that our website, our content is more valuable than the rest of these 5.8 million results out there. So Google shows us higher up in the search results, which then increases our visibility, and from there increases the chances to drive quality traffic to our website. So a search results page looks something like this, depending on your query. The different blocks may vary a little bit, but at the very top, you have your search query, followed by the organic result, followed by the map pack. So a lot of rental businesses who we work with, not just a lot, I would say actually all of them are really local businesses. So what does that mean? It means that you're servicing a specific geography, a specific radius around your location. And even if you have multiple locations, those are still servicing a specific radius around that address. So the map pack is a very important player or place for you to work to position your brand in a visible position. So in this specific instance, I searched for Westchester Party Rentals. The first organic result that I saw was Party Line Rentals. And then right after that, I'm seeing the map with other options, other rental stores around me. And once again, Party Line Rentals is right there as number 2. So even if you think about it from a sheer real estate standpoint, if I can show my business once in the organic result and once in the map pack, I'm increasing my chances for that user to pick me. I'm basically occupying about 50% of the available space right now on this page. So what does it take to optimize your website to make yourself likable to Google? There are 3 main categories or buckets of steps that we take when we optimize websites. One of them is called on-page SEO. That basically stands for all of the content, all of the images, videos, words, titles, descriptions that live on your pages throughout your website. Those have to be positioned in a way that is relevant to the keywords that people were putting in their search engine, in order for Google to be able to make that association of this user is looking for a party rental store in Westchester. Well, check this out. This website has a ton of content and it's organized well and it's easy to consume. The second bucket is called technical SEO. That basically stands for what is the platform that your website is built on. There's so many different platforms. There's Wix, there's Shopify, there's WordPress. There's a whole slew of technology that you can build your website on. And there's pros and cons to all of those, to be fairly honest, like everything in life. But when we talk about technical SEO, in general, that associates with how are you structuring the content on your website? So you have your main page, also called a home page, but then what follows from there? You may have your rental catalog, under which you may have different categories. Under those categories, you may have associated products. So how are you structuring the overall content on your website? So A, it's put together in a logical way to where it can be following steps that us as humans would take. I go to your main page. In other words, I walk through the door of your store. In your showroom, maybe your showroom is organized in different sections, chairs, tables, tents, linens. So I can quickly look around and determine, okay, where do I want to start? And then when I go to a specific section, I can easily browse through all of those items that you have to offer me. Site speed. So nobody likes to sit around and look at the circle of death. Nobody likes to visit a website on a cell phone and wait for 15 seconds. By the way, if a website does not load within 3 seconds, the user is likely going to be out of there and probably won't come back. So site speed is something important to keep an eye out for. And then there's other really more in-depth aspects of the technical SEO side of things. Again, happy to go in more depth in those, but for the sake of timing today, I'm just going to move on to the third bucket, which is called off-page SEO. So with on-page and technical SEO are all about your website, off-page SEO is all about the context that surrounds your website outside of it. So you have your website, but then what else happens around it? Are you posting links on social media? Are you posting links through press releases? How are people finding you in other resources out there in the web space that drive back to your website? Very important, definitely needs to be something to be top of mind. Google My Business is Google's business directory, which if you're not on Google My Business, make sure that you claim your page and make sure that you start adding a title which relates to your business. Usually that would be your business name, a description that talks about the main services, the main type of equipment that you rent, so on and so forth. But beyond Google's business directory, there's also a lot of other business directories that you should be part of. And a low-hanging fruit is actually Rento HQ, which is run by the ARA. If you're a member of the ARA, this is a free resource for you. And all that you need to do as a member is go and enter your rental equipment in your dashboard. The ARA team has resources they can send your way. So if you haven't already registered your business, make sure to be at the very bare minimum on Rento HQ. Not only would you have an opportunity to show your business when people are using this directory to search for rental equipment, but also on a quarterly basis, the ARA team sends out a report which tells you how many impressions your business actually got. So not only are you opening yourself to be more easily found by the outside world, but you also can keep track of how many eyes are being laid on your business. So directories are very important from a search standpoint, from an SEO standpoint. So make sure that you're utilizing all of those opportunities. I feel like there's been a lot of information thrown your way, so I want to take a pause. I'm going to have a sip of water, and then I'm curious to see if there's any questions. Jeff, can you help me?
Absolutely. I don't see anything in chat yet, but feel free to either unmute your line or enter it into chat if you do have any questions to this point.
All right. It sounds like we have a quiet group. That's fine. We have a lot more to go over. So let's talk a little bit about Google Ads. As a reminder, again, this is all surrounding keywords, but the difference here is with Google Ads, we pay Google for clicks, and that increases our chances to be shown at the top of search results pages. So in this example, I'm searching for forklift rental in Colorado Springs, and I'm seeing 3 ads displayed to me. The way that you can tell that a result is actually an ad is by looking at that highlighted sponsored bolded word there. All platforms are now required to disclose when a message is being sponsored. So everything is based off of keywords. One of the key areas, if you don't take anything else away from today's session, please take a note of this. Again, you'll have the slides available. Google Ads are based off of keywords that you want to target, but there are 3 different ways that you can target those keywords. There's a broad match, there's a phrase match, and there's an exact match. And the difference is very, very big in the sense of, if we look at a broad match targeting approach, our ads are going to be shown for results that relate to our keyword. So if my keyword is construction tool rental, if somebody actually searches for how to build a shed, my ad is likely going to show as well. So this is the broadest way for you to cover as much ground as possible, but it also becomes very expensive very quickly. Google will push you to do broad targeting from the minute you open your Google account. Why? Because that's the easiest way for Google to drain through your budget as quickly as possible. Again, it's a matter of strategy, but be mindful that if you go with broad modified matches, you are going to be shown for everything under the sun that even slightly relates to your main keyword that you're targeting. A phrase match corrals things a little bit further, and that actually would include searches that include the meaning of your keyword. So I'm looking for construction tool rental. If somebody goes and searches for an electric jackhammer rental, my ad is going to show. And you can see that there's still a discrepancy happening here between, I want to target construction tool rental. Well, technically a jackhammer is a tool that you can rent. So it's something, again, to keep in mind and be very careful with, that even though that pares down the results, it's still not the exact result that you're looking for. When we go after exact match keywords, you're going to really narrow down the search, with the caveat that Google changed the rules a little bit a couple of years ago. Exact match used to be literally what it sounds like. Unless somebody's putting construction tool rental in their search engine, they will not see the ad. Nowadays, it's construction tool rental and maybe construction equipment rental. So we've pared down the words as much as possible, but there's still this little caveat that Google reserves in order to, again, drain our budgets as much as possible and display us to as many people who may click on our ad. So how do we construct all of this? Well, first off, we need to understand the 4 types of keywords, which we spoke about at the start. We need to spend time on negative keywords. So in this example of an exact match, if construction tool rental is truly the only keyword I want my ads to be shown for, I want to make sure that construction equipment rental is added as a negative keyword, which basically tells Google to not show my ad in that instance. We also want to focus on the highest priorities. It is so easy to dive into Google Ads and say, well, I want to advertise all 4,000 pieces of equipment or tools that I have in my rental store. And you truly will need a massive budget to go that aggressively into it. So instead, what I always recommend for my clients is, let's take the main categories of equipment which make you the most money, and let's start with those. Why? Because my job as a marketer is to get revenue flowing into your business, hopefully with a bigger margin of profit. So then we can strategically decide, where do we expand to next, but everything being aligned with your business success. Marketing does not exist in a silo for its own self. It exists to support your business. And then something also to keep in mind is your keywords have to be matched very closely to your ads and have to be matched very closely to your landing page. What does that mean? Here is the standard kind of most basic structure of a Google Ads account. You have your account at the very top, where all of your business information is held. Then you have campaigns. The campaigns determine the budget, daily budget you want to spend, as well as the geography that you want to go after, and the main topic. So maybe if we are, again, let's take party rental in this specific case. Maybe we have a campaign which is specifically for tables, and our ad groups are going to be foldable tables, round tables, different types of tables. That allows us, when we micro break up our groups like that, to really have ads that are addressing foldable tables. If I'm looking for foldable tables, you better be showing me foldable tables in my results. And when I click on your ad, the page I land on better have foldable tables. Otherwise, as a user, I would be very disappointed. I will leave, but what's left behind for you is you would have paid for my click. So the more granular and intentional you can design your Google Ads account to be, the better profits you would see on the other side once you start your efforts. And truly, in all for honesty, I've worked in so many industries. This is one of the most difficult things when it comes to rental, the sheer segmentation of all of the inventory available in a rental store's catalog. And the fact that you really have to be granular which just takes time and patience to develop. But if you can get it really well organized and aligned, you're definitely going to see great results from a revenue standpoint.